A man tells his best friend to look across a peaceful river and picture their dream farm. Then, his hand trembling, he raises a gun to the back of his friend's head. This is the devastating conclusion to John Steinbeck's 1937 novella of Mice and Men. The story follows George and Lennie, two displaced migrant workers wandering through Depression-era California, chasing the American dream of owning a small piece of land. The book was an instant critical success, but its raw, unsparing depiction of systemic cruelty has made it one of the most challenged and banned books in American literature. That controversy is rooted in the morality of the act itself. It leaves us to decide whether George committed a cold-blooded murder to protect society or performed the ultimate act of mercy. To judge George's final impossible choice, we first have to understand the ruthless rules of the ecosystem they were trying to survive. The California ranch where George and Lennie find work operates as a harsh microcosm of society. Here, everything is governed entirely by economic utility. This system enforces a toxic hierarchy that immediately marginalizes the vulnerable. It isolates Crooks because of his race, traps Curly's wife in pervasive sexism, and terrifies old Candy as he ages out of uselessness. The grueling physical demands of the ranch require able bodies. This makes Lennie's immense size and strength a valuable but incredibly dangerous asset. The unspoken law ruling the bunkhouse is consequentialism. This is an ethical philosophy stating that an action is morally right only if it produces the greatest benefit for the greatest number of people. On this ranch, human value is reduced to sheer output. In a world like that, the concept of a safety net, or unconditional compassion, is a liability. This ethical clash is reflected in the fate of an old, blind sheepdog belonging to Candy, an aging ranch hand.
Another ranch hand, Carlson, eventually convinces Candy to let him shoot the animal. Carlson argues purely from consequentialist logic. The dog is useless, it suffers, and killing it benefits the entire bunkhouse. Later, Candy makes a confession to George that reveals his deep regret. He realizes he should have shot his own dog, rather than letting a stranger do it. Candy is expressing the opposing philosophy of deontology. This framework asserts we have an unconditional duty of care toward those we love, regardless of their utility to society. But deontology cannot survive against the ranch's consequentialist logic, where the collective's needs override individual bonds. Candy's regret over failing his duty to his dog acts as the exact moral framework George will soon be forced to follow. Lennie's childlike neurodivergence, combined with his uncontrollable physical strength, makes him incompatible with the unforgiving reality of the ranch. Steinbeck constructs a relentless chain of accidents that makes the ending feel inescapable. It begins with petting dead mice, moves to a crushed puppy, and mangling the boss's son's hand. The breaking point arrives when Lennie accidentally kills Curly's wife while trying to stroke her soft hair. Terrified, he flees into the brush. This unleashes the threat of a lynch mob. Led by a vengeful Curly, the men close in to find and execute Lennie. This chain of events effectively traps George. He has no options left to save Lennie's life, only options for how Lennie dies. George finds Lennie hiding in the brush by the river, facing a horrific reality. He can either allow the mob to lynch his friend or let the state lock him in a cage. Evaluated through a consequentialist lens, killing Lennie would protect society from future accidents, while also removing a massive lifelong burden from George's own life. But George rejects this utilitarian reasoning. Haunted by Candy's regret over the dog, he chooses to take on the burden of executing his friend himself. This execution is explicitly a deontological act. It is an act of obligation to protect Lennie from fear, torture, and humiliation at the hands of strangers. George grants Lennie a death with absolute dignity, ensuring his final moments are spent feeling safe, looking out across the river, and visualizing the rabbits on their dream farm. Steinbeck's tragedy proves that the American dream is an illusion in a society that readily disposes of the weak. Yet George's final choice transcends murder, enduring as a profound act of human love.